Hello everybody, and welcome back to Steven's Fight Show. So, Alexander Volkanovski will be taking a huge chance at making history at UFC 284 in Perth, Australia against the best lightweight on the planet right now, Islam Makhachev. And my god, I am so excited for this fight, guys. And I'm pretty sure you guys are as well. I mean, this is a big fight. This is a very big fight because on paper, both of these guys have been on a tear throughout their entire careers. Volk has never lost a fight in the UFC and has essentially separated himself as the featherweight champion among other contenders in his division. And looking at his past performances, it's hard to argue that right now. Islam Makhachev, on the other hand, just took care of business against Charles Oliveira and made it look easy. Charles Oliveira was on fire during his championship run, but Islam Makhachev quickly extinguished that, and he's been dominating in his last few fights as well. He's finished his last 5 fights against guys like Drew Dober, Dan Hooker, and Bobby Green. He's quickly making his mark as one of the best pound for pound fighters in the world today. However, the man that is holding the #1 spot is the man that will be standing across from him, Alexander Volkanovski. Both of these guys are also on insane winning streaks as well. I think together they have like a 20+ fight win streak, which is crazy. And this is a fight between the best and the second best. It doesn't get much better than this, and we don't normally see fights like this happen. And I just want to say, what a time to be alive. What a time to be an MMA fan right now. Alright, so I was going to talk about the fans' opinions about this fight, and I was going to also talk about the lack of promotion for this fight, but since I think we all know how clear those topics are, I don't think I need to get into those. Like, I'll say this right now, we all know the main card for this fight isn't good, but who doesn't know that? So instead, I want to talk a little bit about the fight week behavior by both men, because this is something that I found very interesting. So as far as how both fighters are holding themselves throughout fight week, I think Volk has done a phenomenal job at how he's approaching this fight. Obviously, since everyone and their mama is picking Islam to win this fight, reporters are kind of implying to Volk that it's pretty much impossible for him to win this fight. But Volk is doing a good job dismissing all the noise. He states how this fight excites him, and because he's doing something big, he loves a good challenge. He also mentions the fact that it fires him up when people doubt him, and essentially he's betting on himself here. Nobody believes he's going to win. Like, let's be honest here, about 99.7% of MMA fans believe Islam is going to steamroll Volk. Barely anybody is picking Volk to win this fight. But on the other hand, Volk is showing a lot of belief in himself. He holds himself like a true champion because he's not being delusional about this fight. He acknowledges how hard of a fight this is, but there was a line where he said, "It's going to be a hard challenge, but I bet you I could do it." And the moment when I heard that, I thought to myself, this guy is a real champion. His mentality is that he's willing to go above and beyond, and that's the exact mindset you need to have in this fight, especially when you have the whole MMA world against you. He's not thinking that he's going to smoke Islam easy. He's aware of the dangers, and he understands that he's going to have to be almost perfect to win this fight. I love the mindset that Volk is in right now because it at least shows that he's mentally prepared himself for everything that's a possibility in this fight. And Islam, he's more so enjoying the moment in my opinion. I don't want to say he's underestimating Volk, but I feel like there is a sense. And for me, I believe it comes from him not believing that Volk is on his level. And rightfully so, he has a reason. You know, Volk is not a lightweight. He hasn't competed in lightweight. And stylistically, Islam has an edge over him. He doesn't believe Volk can hang in this weight class. And this is why during interviews, he's saying things like, "I'm going to finish him. I'm going to make him quit. And you're making a mistake by coming to this division." But it could mean he's just extremely confident. But so far from what I'm seeing, it doesn't look like Islam entirely respects Volk for being the best pound for pound fighter in the world right now. But don't get me wrong, he is giving Volk his props. However, Islam did say something that I did not like. He said that since everyone thinks he's a grappler, he's content to disobey his corner's instructions to try and knock out Volkanovski. I'm saying this right now, if Islam does indeed do that, then it's a wrap for him. I hope it's just promo talk and that he's not actually trying to go out there and try to outstrike one of the best strikers in the world. If he does that, then he's falling for the antics. He has to go out there and do what he has to do, not what he wants to do. He's going to make the fight a lot harder for himself for no reason. This isn't a chump that you're fighting here. This guy is the best fighter in the world, and he got here for a reason. If you're going to underestimate him to this extent, then I don't care what anyone says, Islam will not win the fight if he tries to outstrike Volkanovski. Alright, so now let's discuss about the fight and the matchup between both men. I'm pretty sure we all know what the game plan is for both men. Both Volk and Islam know it, Dana knows it, the commentary team knows it, and you and I both know it as well. It's simple. Volk has to absolutely maintain it to be a stand-up fight, and Islam certainly has to take it to the ground. Obviously, other components and factors will come into play, but this is the main goal for both fighters. Obviously, we know Volk is a dynamic striker. He's got phenomenal hands where he has good straight punches that are fast and precise. He can land combos and deadly leg kicks. He can feint to set up strikes, fight off the back foot, fight off the front foot, be defensively aware, move in and out, counterpunch, and time punches very well. He also has high striking IQ as well. I mean, it's a very long list of the things that he can do on the feet. Like, the dude is that good of a striker. When I look at Volk, I don't see a lot of weaknesses in his striking. In fact, there are very few of them. You can argue and say the only thing he doesn't have is power, and imagine if he did. My goodness, he would be unbeatable. We already talked about Islam's grappling capabilities, but to add on to that, he usually thrives when he establishes the center of the octagon. When he has you going backwards and you make a miscalculation, you best believe he's going to press you up against the fence or time an entry. And if he drops down for a takedown attempt and throws you on your back, good luck trying to get back up to your feet. This is what he's good at, and if you are too reckless and you find yourself overcommitting, don't be surprised if he times a takedown, because he's also very good at that as well. This is exactly why it's so hard to see a path to victory for Volk, because if he fights on his back foot, he's allowing Islam to be where he wants, but if he's too aggressive on the front foot, he can walk into a takedown. However, with that being said, just because Islam has a big grappling advantage, that doesn't mean he can do whatever he wants in this fight. Because Islam's striking, it's not bad, but it's not also great at the exact same time. I thought he had a good display of footwork, distance, and counterpunching in his last fight against Charles Oliveira, but Volk is a lot better on the feet compared to Charles. Striking wise, I don't think they are even close. For me personally, I believe the chances of Islam knocking out Volk on the feet is less than Volk getting submitted on the ground. Islam's striking is specifically catered to what he does best, which is grappling. He doesn't kick too often, and he prefers to use punches and knees because he's where he wants to be in terms of being in range to shoot for takedowns. Whereas Volkanovski's striking is better all around. I think for Islam to win this fight, he has to be consistent in staying busy with his pressure and intensity. I think if he has the mindset of stifling Volk as much as he can throughout the entire fight, then everything else gets easier. Especially if he does it early. If he can get Volk up against the fence without taking too much damage, land clinch strikes, and get him down early, that will allow him to drain Volk as much as he can with his grappling, along with his size and strength. Then later on in the fight, the striking from Volk could potentially become less dangerous as he's not as quick or sharp as he would be if he was fresh. Especially if he's 10 pounds heavier than usual. And Islam, he can certainly keep that pace and pressure for 25 minutes straight because he has insane cardio to grapple for that long. I think for Volk to win this fight, he has to be alert and light on his feet at all times. He has to stay focused for 25 minutes to get ready to move at all times, stuff takedowns, and fight on his back. Distance management and pacing are going to be so crucial for Volk because he needs to understand where he's safe and where he isn't. He's very good at sliding just outside of his opponent's range to be right where he wants to be to land a counter shot, and that's going to be needed in this fight against Islam. Shot selection will also be key for him as well. Uppercuts are a grappler's kryptonite, so a lot of those in the right exchanges will serve him well. I prefer him to not throw too many knees because if he misses, it's going to be long for him. He can't also expend too much energy on unnecessary exchanges because he's going to have to grapple a lot. Grappling fatigue and striking fatigue are very different, and depending on which area he has to work in more, which is most likely the grappling, he needs to preserve energy to go the distance. Lastly, most importantly, he has to get back up to his feet. He needs to take some risk and have a bit of urgency to get back up to his feet. I don't know if Volk is going to be hesitant to throw because a lot of Islam's past opponents have said that they were going to put it on him, but as soon as they get in there, they freeze. That is the power that the threat of the takedown holds. Just that alone can already shut off about 50% of what a striker would want to do against a grappler. So hopefully Volk keeps his word because he's going to have to be offensive during this fight. If you're too defensive, then you're handing Islam too many opportunities. He's going to have to strike, and then sprawl or move. And once you make him miss, return with 2 or maybe 3 punches, but don't overdo it. So with that being said, knowing everything that we know about this fight and visualizing how both men's style are going to perform against each other, I can't believe I'm saying this, but first things first, I would like to say that if I was betting on this fight, I would bet on Islam winning by stoppage. I think on paper, Islam has all the advantages to win. However, I'm going to get clowned for this, but my official prediction is that I have Volk winning by either 48-47 UD or SD. And here's the thing, let me explain. Volk is betting on himself here. He's challenging himself to make history, and he's daring himself to be great. So I'm going to challenge my prediction by saying Volk is going to win. But the reason why I'm saying this is because I'm rooting for Volk to win. I could easily say Islam is going to win, but I want to challenge my own assessment. So let me explain what I think is going to happen. This is how I think the fight is going to play out. Early on, Islam is going to start the fight fast by pressuring Volk into the cage and landing takedowns. Now, I'm not one of these people that think Islam is going to run right through Volk. There's some people out there that legitimately think that once Islam takes Volk down, the fight is over. I'm not one of those people. I actually think Volk will do a lot better than what people are anticipating. I believe Volk is going to be able to stuff the first or maybe the second takedown attempt from Islam. However, I do still envision Islam eventually landing a takedown and just laying in Volk's guard and holding him down. During the control time, he'll either land ground and pound strikes or maybe try to pass guard. As we head towards the middle of the fight, Islam is going to wear Volk out and potentially submit him by either arm triangle, rear naked choke, or Kimura. However, what I'm hoping for is for Volk to be able to stuff more than 1 or 2 takedowns and get back up to his feet more than once or twice in the first 2 rounds of the fight. And when he's on his back, I hope he'll fight off his back by throwing elbows, using the cage to his advantage, and trying to post to get back up to his feet. Then as the fight goes on, I think Volk will start landing strikes on Islam at distance while stuffing takedowns again. He's going to vary his offense by feinting, jabbing, leg kicking, and blitzing him with 2 or 3 strike combinations and then exiting out. I believe he'll constantly move and never stay in one position for too long, where he's constantly changing angles and circling. Basically, I think he's going to stick and move a lot. Lateral movement has to be on point for Volk. And then towards the end of the fight, I think Islam will land another takedown to where he'll control Volk and land damaging ground and pound strikes. But I don't think Volk will be content with ending the fight on his back, and I think he'll scramble to his feet and unload strikes on Islam that backs him up. And I think the fight will end on the feet with Volk outstriking him. And that's how I think Volk will get it done. I know it sounds like a wish list, and quite frankly it is. And even though the chances of victory are slim for Volk, the grappling from Volk is not terrible. It's just the size is just the issue, but I believe that Volk has done everything necessary to prepare for what's to come. He claims that for 16 weeks, he's got one of the best BJJ specialists in his corner, Craig Jones, and I understand that he's in no way, shape, or form a reflection of Islam, but he understands enough to help Volk prepare for this fight. I think Volk and his team has done their homework on Islam for this fight, and I truly believe that Volk has prepared himself for the worst in this fight, and that he's not just the best pound for pound fighter in the world, only to just get completely dominated by a champion in a weight class above him. Man, I don't know, that's just me. I'm rooting for Volk. Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. Oi, oi, oi. Hopefully he gets it done, man. This could either be a genius prediction, or I can just straight up look stupid in front of everybody. And that is it, guys. Thank you guys so much for listening to what I have to say, and let me know who's going to win this fight and why. Islam Makhachev or Alexander Volkanovski? Drop a comment and let me know in the comment section down below. Now, if you guys enjoy content that is related to combat sports, please drop a like on this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel down below. That would be greatly appreciated. Please head down to the description of this video to follow my Twitter, where I post tweets about fight news, fight updates, and my opinions on certain fights. Also, to please take a few minutes out of your day to check out my fight blog, where I upload content just like this, but in word form. If you want further content just like this outside of YouTube, then please head to my blog and check it out. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. And other than that, it's been Steven, signing out. Peace!